In the 1980s, in a remote rural village in Japan, a family returns to their ancestral home for the first time in decades. Little do they know, their arrival will awaken an old legend the villagers have long tried to bury. Imagine a ghostly woman, over 2 meters tall, softly murmuring, relentlessly following you. What would you do? Kenta, a 10-year-old boy, arrives at the small village with his parents to visit his grandmother, whom he hasn't seen since he was a baby. The old family house stands amidst rice fields, surrounded by a dense forest. The village is too quiet, as if frozen in time. From the moment he arrives, Kenta senses something strange. While playing in the garden at dusk, an eerie sound catches his attention. A deep, slow echoes in the distance. Curious, he turns around but sees nothing. His grandmother notices him freeze and rushes over, gripping his shoulders. Her hands tremble. "Where did you hear that sound?" she asks, her voice shaking. Startled, Kenta points toward the bamboo grove behind the house. Over there, near the bamboo, his grandmother's face goes pale. She quickly pulls him inside and warns his parents not to let him out alone anymore. "It's Hachishakusama," she whispers almost to herself. When the parents press her for an explanation, the grandmother refuses to elaborate. That night, Kenta is locked in a room adorned with protective charms hanging from the windows and doors. The grandmother spends the night muttering prayers outside the door, one hand resting on it as if holding something back. Around midnight, a noise breaks the stillness. Closer now. Kenta's parents wake with a start. Through the thin walls, they see a tall, shadowy figure standing just outside the house. Its features are blurred, but an eerie smile stretches across its pale face. The figure wears a white kimono stained with red. The grandmother screams, "Don't look! Don't open the door!" But Kenta, curious and unable to resist, peeks through a small crack in the door. The figure stares directly at him, and an icy chill runs down his spine. The next morning, the grandmother explains that Hachishakusama is a malevolent spirit who targets children and won't stop until she takes them away. "We must leave the village immediately," she insists. The villagers, however, have other plans. Familiar with the legend, they prepare an ancient ritual. A procession is organized to escort Kenta out of the village, but he must remain sealed inside a sacred wooden box inscribed with protective prayers. As the procession moves slowly toward the village's boundary, the ominous grows louder, coming ever closer. Inside the box, Kenta hears knocking, sharp, insistent, as if someone or something is trying to get in. Then, suddenly, everything goes silent. The villagers open the box to find Kenta unharmed, but visibly shaken. "She whispered something in my head," he murmurs. "She said she'll come back." The family leaves the village that very day, but Kenta never forgets the ghostly face of Hachishakusama or her sinister smile. Hachishakusama is said to still roam the remote villages of Japan. They say she never stops, always searching for new souls to claim. And you, have you ever heard the haunting somewhere in an isolated place? If you did, what would you do to escape her?